It's good to be here. When the opportunities come up in each day, we have an opportunity to have a victory in every single moment. A victory over thoughts, a victory over feelings, a victory over circumstance, what appears to be reality. The object of having a victory is to establish a space whereby the mind and the heart come to rest in all the different circumstances, in all the different situations. There are, of course, multiple things that go on for each one on earth. Each one is faced with things that go on in body, in mind, in the heart, in work, in day-to-day life. These are all opportunities for a victory. The victory, of course, is something that as one experiences, one starts to understand what it is, why it's important to have a victory over the so-called ordinary reality. Reality always tries to dictate what the feelings and the mind experience. The mind and the heart are usually like kites. They float around in the wind, and they're buffeted by all the tides of currents of spirit and currents that go on all around. We have a great opportunity to learn how to be still and manage the thoughts and the feelings, no matter what the currents are, no matter what the underlying factors are. When these are mastered, and then stillness in body and mind and heart is achieved, primarily in mind and heart. And then the focus of attention gets placed and stays on what the goal is. If people have a particular goal in life, then that goal is revealed through what they focus on. A lot of people, the goal is just getting through day-to-day life. In the particular opportunity we have, the goal is one of rising up out of the level of the circumstances and situations, being able to engage with them, but not being caught up by them. Mankind has been too used to being caught in the trap of believing in ordinary reality. And ordinary reality changes day by day, moment by moment. But is ordinary reality real? The question we have to ask ourselves is, how real is it to us? Because if it appears real and we think it's real, it still may be an unreal situation, an unreal reality that we could be buying into. And the opportunity is to go past seeing the things of reality as being real and experiencing that which is real, divine life, divine reality. If we're caught up in ordinary reality all the time, then we can be buffeted around by anything. Things will come and blow us around, and next thing you know is we're in some other space than where we actually want to be. The mind gets blown around, the heart gets blown around, and there are lots of things, and in that sense the things dictate the experience. So one has to ask oneself, what is the experience that one's experiencing? Are we the product of the experience, or is the experience the product of who we are? These are two different, very different states. If we're the product of the experience, then we're buffeted around by any wind or circumstance. And the next thing you know is we're having to react with the mind or the heart to deal with that wind current, no matter where it's blowing from. And sometimes when a wind current comes and blows us in one direction, we feel good. Blows us in another direction and we feel bad. Mankind goes through this all the time, feeling and having an experience depending on where the current's blowing from, of whether they feel good or bad, judging the experience depending on where the wind is blowing from, what the Spirit's revealing. This is probably the hardest way to live. And the hardest experience to be in is one where one's continually being dictated to by the outer environment and by seeming things that go on around. That's ordinary reality for most people on earth. The extraordinary reality, the inner reality, is one where one knows oneself and is not blown around by the outer circumstances. The outer circumstances, the outer environment, the outer things have to conform to where the inner reality is, where the focus of attention is. Man has been so used to the focus of its attention. The mind and the heart have been so caught up in seeing that the focus of attention is outside. But all the things we see and hear and experience outside are, as we discussed before, just electrical stimulation that's given to the mind and the heart. They're hardly real. And most people find the end of the experience that we think of as death is the end of the experience of ordinary reality. And then they experience something else. For a short period of time, they're given a chance to experience a transcendent, extraordinary reality beyond body and mind and heart. Now, if people wait to the point of death to experience that, then it's a very hard thing. It all comes up in the matter of 3 days at the point of death. But we don't have to wait till death to experience a transcendent reality. We can experience transcendent reality moment by moment by moment. The question is, can one have the perseverance and the strength of character to transcend what one sees, what one experiences on the outside, and always stay steady inwardly? This is where the opportunity for the experience of transcendent reality lies. Going beyond what one sees, what one experiences outwardly. Staying in a place where the victory in each moment is one of victory in maintaining the correct polarity within. Polarity within, if it shifts too far back and forth, then one can be stable in one moment and be unstable in another moment. And it's very easy to tell where one is, because one's being blown around like a kite. The least bit of shift on the outside and one feels blown around and buffeted by a circumstance and situation. That's about the most unpleasant type of place to live from, because everything that comes up on the outside can blow one around. There's no stable point of reference in that sense. One can find a stable point of reference, but that has to come from within. It has to be experienced and maintained. It's only when the mind can stay focused on the part of life that is stable that it doesn't get blown around. And if the mind stays stable, then the heart doesn't get blown around with the feelings it's experiencing with all the things that go on. So what can one focus on that's worth focusing on? That's worth keeping steady in and able to hold steady within with. If one tries to do it on the strength of mind and heart, it doesn't work. People try to hold their mind and heart steady all the time. And still, they don't experience the victory. They keep getting blown around by outer circumstances. One has to go beyond mind and heart. One has to go into what some people call the spiritual realm, having some sort of vision of what it is, having not just a vision and an idea, but starting to experience that thing which can assist mind and heart to transcend ordinary reality. Focus in this way provides such a atmosphere. When one stays focused in this way, then one can experience anything that goes on in day-to-day life. And because there's a stable point of orientation inside, then it doesn't matter what's going on the outside. It doesn't matter what the wind's doing, where the currents of life are flowing, what the environment is, what the circumstances are, what the challenge is. None of those things move you. And in that sense, the mind and the heart and the experience, the part of consciousness that is experiencing the thing, can say none of these things move me. When that is the truth of the experience, then there's stability. Stability for oneself. Before one can provide any sort of influence outside, one has to be able to be inwardly stable. The part of consciousness that's capable of experiencing inward stability is not the human ego. The human ego gets buffeted around left, right, and center every time something comes up. And for the most part, the human ego, the sense of identity, has been so caught up in the outside that it forgets the only thing that it can experience of stability, which is inside. And this point of orientation that's within has to be maintained for any sort of stability to enter in. As long as one loves to focus on the outside, there will be no stability. There is nothing on an outer sense that is capable of remaining unchanged. Everything changes. Look back on your life, whatever the period of life that you've experienced, and you'll see that everything has changed over and over and over and over. The only thing that hasn't changed is your sense of perception. Your sense of perception is that you're experiencing something of the changes. You think to a large extent that you're seeing something go by on the screen of your life, not recognizing that the screen of your life is actually a projection of what's coming from within. Let's look at it as a screen that may be a foot or two in front of you. 360 degrees, it's quite a remarkable experience actually, to be able to have a three-dimensional 360-degree view of the screen of your life around you all the time. And in the screen of your life, the possibility exists that you can experience everything on the screen of your life without identifying with what's outside. You can see that you're actually the one projecting onto the screen of your life the experience that you want. This is the hardest thing for a man to transcend. The thought, the feeling, and the experience of just experiencing the things on the screen of life. Because man thinks that everything it sees on the screen is the real, and it doesn't identify with the fact that it's actually a projection from within. You are experiencing everything that you expect, that you create, that you want on the screen of your life. So what's it going to be? Is it going to be something where you experience yourself as being the creator of that which is on the screen of your life? Take responsibility for that? Or are you going to see yourself as the created thing? Most people are content to be the created, see themselves as being that which is buffeted around by something else, perhaps God somewhere, or a circumstance, or karma, or something else. Lots of reasons to be experiencing something, but no sense of recognition of who one is, no sense of purpose as to being the creator of the circumstance, or being able to have any way of changing the circumstance and situation, because it's all seemingly a reality out there, and the identity is caught up with what's being experienced outwardly. You are the creator of the experience that you experience, moment after moment after moment. You get the choice of being identified with the creator or with the screen of your life. If you're identifying with the screen of your life, then it's a very hard type of experience sometimes, because there could be a lot of different things going on the screen of the life, and you don't see your participation in how it's been created. And if we look at the world, we think it's a particular way, but it's just a creation. It's a projection in time and space of something. Where's that projection coming from? Well, you're partially responsible as a creator on earth for what you are projecting out into your world. You will experience what you project, but by reason of the fact that your sense of identity is in the projected experience, you're not seeing your participation in what you put out. This goes beyond just positive thinking or trying to have a positive experience. It goes into the realm of experiencing all the things as the observer of what you're experiencing. Can you be in each moment, in every moment of the day, the observer of the experience, maintaining orientation into the inner realm of where the creation is created from, and being able to hold steady no matter what one sees on the screen of life. It doesn't, in that sense, matter what one sees on the screen of life, because that's all just projection in time and space by the mind. The mind experiences time and space. The observer, the real you, is beyond the experience of time and space. It's beyond the experience of the mind. But there hasn't been enough of an adequate experience of being who you really are, which is the creator of the world and the experience around yourself, to fully understand that you are creating reality along with other creators around you and co-creators around you. We are all creators, co-creators of the thing that we call a reality. And reality can change depending who one participates in reality with, what one's aiming to create. I'm sure we've all experienced relationships of one sort or another, where depending on who we were participating with in the relationship, we experience certain things in the projection of the screen of our life. And sometimes those experiences were less than satisfactory. Maybe we didn't like it somehow. The opportunity is to not change the screen of the life by trying to change someone that we're seeing on the screen, but changing the screen of the life by what we project outwardly. Your reality is capable of being mutable. You can change how you experience things. Or you can stay in the place where You're experiencing things and you think that all of the experiences that you're experiencing are reality. But that's definitely a harder place to come from. Because anything that goes on, if it goes on and you're suddenly feeling depressed or you're feeling upset in one form or another, or anxious or fearful or anxiety or any of the things, then one knows that one's caught up in seeing the experience of outward reality as the place, the thing that's going on. But outer reality is a figment of imagination. You can get two people sitting side by side experiencing the same outer reality, seeing the same thing on the screen of life, and one person will see it differently if they identify with the fact that they're creating the experience, that they're capable of projecting something else onto the screen of life. One person may be caught up in seeing themselves buffeted around by the projections, caught up with every single thing that goes on out there. And the other person may see that every single thing changes depending on how it thinks, depending on how it feels. So are you caught up in experiencing outward reality, experiencing the projection as real? Or are you caught up with the possibility and the experience of being the creator of the reality that you live in? This is a place of being. And this is a place of empowerment. To be in the place of yourself as being a creator and a co-creator of everything that you experience, everything that you're going through, and having a victory over every single circumstance and situation, because you're not identifying with the circumstance and situation as being real. You're seeing it change, and you're recognizing who you really are in all of it. So look around yourself at the things that are going on for a moment. Is there something you're experiencing of pressure or feelings or thoughts or anything that's uncomfortable? To the extent that you're experiencing that discomfort is the extent to which identity is caught up with the screen of life. It doesn't have to stay that way, but it takes being willing to experience the victory over those things, where one can truly say, none of these things move me. No matter what comes up, no matter what circumstance, no matter what situation, when one's in one's rightful place, when one truly is being here, one can really say with all sincerity, with all full knowing, that none of these things move me. Because you see the things on an outward level as being just part of the fabric of projection. Co-creation in that way. Co-projection. We're all projecting together. We're all creating together. And it may very much look like something from where I stand, and may look different from where you are. And depending on your sense of who you are in the midst of all of it, you're going to be the one who's going to decide for yourself what's real or what you're going to experience. If you're experiencing something from the sense of being your body or your mind or your heart, then the projection seems real. Then all of the things seem to be affecting you. All of the things seem to be in some way upsetting, in some way beyond your control. Do you ever feel like things are beyond your control? beyond your ability to do anything about. Well, if you do, then you're not taking an active participation in creating reality, participating as a son or a daughter of the Creator, in putting forth what you want to create. There's a passage that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. People have had no vision about who they really are, so people keep dying, because they keep seeing themselves as being the projected image, the body perhaps. And so the body, it starts out as a baby, turns into a toddler, and then a child, and then an adult, and then a senior, and then it dies. And people die while still maintaining a sense of themselves as being a body. People die maintaining a sense of themselves as their thoughts. People die maintaining themselves as the feelings that they're experiencing, anger or hurt or resentment or fear or any of a number of ranges, including love, including all the things that they experience that they think that they want to experience of love. Those are just feelings. It's not really the truth of identity. One can step back from the whole thing. Even if it's just a foot or two back, and gain a little perspective about what one's experiencing. But the only way to do that is to step back a little. To step out of ordinary reality for a moment and say, is this really what I'm experiencing? Am I the observer, or am I that which is being projected? Am I buffeted around by every single thing that comes along, or am I going to choose to have a victory over those things? It's very uncomfortable to live from the side of being the projection, because one has no power in being the projected. One only has power when one takes one's power back to be the active observer, the one who gets to choose, who gets to experience, who gets to live from the perspective of being the creator of the circumstance, instead of just the participant in something that they have no control about. You always have control over what you experience, because you have the choice of what you experience. If you're experiencing something, then you can say, yeah, I chose to experience this thing. I created this thing. I'm experiencing this thing because I chose to create it, and I created it. Most people don't see their participation in what they've created by their choice. They don't see it. They think they're part of something that someone else made the choice over. They see things going on around them and they don't like it one way or the other. Oh, I don't like this. Look what's happening to me. All indications that they're seeing it from the perspective of living on the screen. But the screen is unreal. You cannot be the projected image. The image is like watching a movie or of something. You're not the image. You're not the projected identity or the projected sense of identity. That seemingly is what most people experience and are taught to experience. But the question comes back to, are you what you're seeing as the experience, or are you that part which is projecting the experience onto the screen of your life? It's a subtle difference between acceptance of the responsibility for what you experience or being buffeted around by the experience. A lot of people get buffeted around their whole life. And even when the opportunity is given to them to step into ordinary reality, they're addicted to the sense and the excitement of being buffeted around by life. And no active consideration of their participation in the creation of life. What if you actively chose to participate in the creation of the experiences that you're experiencing? What if you came to the point of taking your power back to be a creator of the experience that you experience? What it is an opportunity for victory then. In every single moment, in every single situation, because you're not judging the experience. You can look at the experiences and have a good chuckle about it. Buddha did that. He sat under the tree, so to speak, in one place, and he laughed at all the things that he was seeing on the screen of his life. He had tremendous different things that came on the screen of his life, but he stayed in one place, under the great tree, so to speak, the tree of life. So it didn't matter what came at him. Challenges. Yeah, he had challenges come at him. He had armies come at him. He had warriors come at him. He had women come at him. You think he was experiencing those things from the perspective of, look at all these things going on, why are they challenging me? Women or warriors or other things? Why are these things happening to me? No. Because he had a victory in maintaining orientation in who he was and seeing the projected as being the projection of his own human ego, his own human identity. That's the difference. And there is no other way of experiencing reality unless one transcends the belief in being the projected. And to the extent that you don't like what's going on around you, to the extent that you're discouraged about things that are going on around you, that you're unhappy with things that are going on around you, and a whole range of other experiences of what's going on around you, that's the extent to which you're not taking personal responsibility for the fact of experiencing and recognizing what is your human ego projection. So take the responsibility. Have you be the Buddha part of consciousness that stays still and experiences the things that go on around you and sees them for what they are. All a projection of your human ego. And that's why Buddha started to smile. Because the more he saw it, the more he recognized, this also is a projection of my human ego, trying to take me from sitting here in one place. Buddha sat there, and women came to distract him. They were dancing around, doing everything they could to distract him from who he was. And he started to smile. Armies came. His ego came at him in different ways. And he started to recognize what he was facing. And he started to smile more. The more he smiled, the more his ego came at him. And he smiled more because he recognized who he was facing. Because what he was facing was just a projection. It had no power over him. The projection has no power over you. The experience of the projection, it can make, if people get caught up in it, it can make them fearful, it can make them experience all sorts of doubt, fear, and shame, and guilt, and everything else. It's ordinary reality as far as most people are concerned. It could be part of what you think of as your ordinary reality. Won't be a comfortable place for sure. Because the identity of the human ego is caught up in all the silly things that go on. The identity of the Buddha part of consciousness of you isn't caught up with it. It sees the unreality for what it is. What are you experiencing? Who are you in the experience of what you're experiencing? It's so simple, but people are so caught up with this sense of identity in their human ego, they don't want to let go. They just can't, because it's too much of an addictive state of consciousness. And the human ego makes all sorts of things, circumstances and situations and challenges, and it goes on all the time. And people stay stuck in that because they don't see that it's the unreal state. They don't see themselves being caught up in an unreal state of experience. Why live in an unreal state of experience? Nothing can be accomplished by living from the experience of unreality and being caught up with unreality, being buffeted around by every single thing that goes on. Yeah, you're primarily, when you're buffeted around by things, you're experiencing that as being real. You're experiencing the control as being something outside yourself, and you're blaming whatever it is that you're seeing as being in control. You're blaming the screen and the image on the screen for controlling you somehow. You're not being here. Being here implies that you start to take the active recognition in what you put out. Recognize what it is on the screen of your life and not judge what it is that you see on the screen of your life. Have a victory over the judgment of it. Ah, look, this is what I'm experiencing. I'm experiencing this. How did I create it? Why did I create it? If you don't see yourself as having an active part in the creation and the choices of day-to-day life, then you will be frustrated. You will feel frustrated because you think that things are happening to you out of your control. You don't see the relationship to what you've created. Most people live from the perspective of not seeing their active participation in choice. They've given their power, so to speak, to the screen. And then they take on a mentality of, look what's happening to me, poor me. That would be a very hard place to live from. People have this experience all the time. It's a very difficult place to live from. Oh, look what's happening to me. Look at this person, what they're doing to me. Look at that person. Look at these circumstances. Look at these challenges. All implying poor me. Hardly a semblance of being here. It's an escape mechanism from actually being here and taking the responsibility to see, look what I've created. Look what my human ego is projected onto the screen. The projection isn't real. It's a projection in time and space that may appear real, but 100 years from now you will realize that that is not real. If you look back 20 years from now, you will recognize, if you have anything within you to recognize that the things that you saw on the screen of your life 20 years or 30 years ago were not real. Ordinary reality has been the experience of people because they fail to be the revelation of the real choice. And so they get what they experience because they don't have choice, and what makes the choice is the projected, the human ego. But in that experience is that part of you which is akin to the Buddha part of consciousness, which can just smile at whatever you experience. People ask me once in a while, why are you smiling? You had no reason to smile. Look at the circumstances. Look at these things. Why are you smiling? Because I see the fictitious nature of what I'm seeing on the screen of my life a lot of times. I'm just smiling at the fact that I've participated in creating, and my human ego is projecting something on the screen of my life. And I'm not necessarily buying into it. I'm smiling at it. Because if I buy into it, if I get so depressed about it, then what am I doing? I'm buying into unreality. I'm buying into what the human ego is projecting. By now, each of you has experienced being with me for some period of time. You've had a chance to see what my attitudes are in circumstances and situations, in challenges, it's all sorts of circumstances. You've had a chance to see whether I'm living from the perspective of the screen, the experience of that which is on the screen, or if I'm experiencing living from the perspective of realizing that I'm not the screen, I'm that which is creating the thing on the outside, and I get to choose what I experience. I get to choose what I identify with. So I get to smile about it because I know that all the projection will pass away. Sooner or later the projections pass away. Every single projection that I wanted to create got created, and every single projection that I didn't want to create passed away because of choice. I'm the creator of the experience. I get to experience being here. And in the midst of whatever it is that I'm experiencing, as I always remember who I am. I'm not identifying with the projection and getting so depressed about it. Has anyone ever seen me so depressed about something? I don't think so. Has anyone ever seen me get so caught up with the projection that I get so worked up about the projection? No. Because if I see something that's a projection that is going to pass away, I'll look at it and I'll recognize it's going to pass away. It's inevitable. Because it can't stay in the screen of my life, because I'm creating things by reason of my choices. So how does this work? Well, there were things that went on in my life, and I'm sure this is the same thing for each of you. And you made the choice one way or the other of where you went with it. When you start to see that you have chosen the experiences that you experience, then you'll start to recognize your active participation in what appears on the screen of your life. And if there's something you don't like on the screen of your life, just wait around for a little while, it'll disappear, it'll go. It'll vanish into thin air, because you won't want it. If you don't want it, you won't create it. And it'll disappear because it can't have any life on itself, of its own. Nothing that lasts anyway. Yeah, there were times past when I saw the screen of my life and I saw things and I thought, oh, look what's happening to me. And that was a very hard place to live from the sense of identity of what's going on the screen. As I've gotten a little bit more used to the fact that I'm projecting and creating on the screen of my life, and to a large extent what's being projected and created is a projection of my own human ego, yeah, I'm starting to recognize that I can have a good laugh at the whole thing. I don't have to take the whole thing as seriously as I thought as I used to before. Things come, things go. Circumstances come, circumstances go. Projections come, projections go. The thing that stays the same in the midst of all of it is the one I am. And the recognition of the state of consciousness that has always been stable in the midst of all the circumstances is the recognition of the consciousness of the one I am. It's the stable point in creation. It's the one place of stability. The whole thing is one mind. Everything you experience and everyone experiences the experience of one mind in the whole of the universe and all the galaxies. One mind. The mind of the one I am. There is only one mind. You get to experience in that one mind. You get to identify with the one mind if you want. Recognize the truth that everything is the experience of the one mind. There is only one mind. Even this conversation, even this time that we're spending is just the one mind speaking to itself, to other aspects of itself. Because to some extent the other aspects of myself, the other aspects of the one mind are seeking the answer to the perpetual question that is being asked for thousands of years. What is the meaning of life? Who am I in all of this? There is only one mind, divine mind, creator mind. Your identity is part of the truth of that one mind. The truth of who you really are, the truth of who everyone really is the identity of the one I am. One mind. And as you hear and know and experience the truth, it'll all start to make sense again to you. You'll feel it on a vibrational level. Everything in your cells, in your organs, in your tissue will start to feel and recognize the truth of what it is. And come back to rest in the place of divine mind, divine consciousness. And if you stray from that place, if you stray from the sense of one identity, one mind, one creator operating through all of it, and you'll see the projection. So it's up to you. You choose. And I know to the extent that you're even hearing and comprehending, to whatever extent, whether it's even listening to this message later or any time that you listen to this, you will start to comprehend and realize the truth. There is only one mind that is operating in all things. This will make you free. This will free you up from identifying with the projection. Oh, it's good to come into a deeper and deeper and deeper awareness of what it is to be here. for the mind of the One I Am to be here, in circumstances, in situations, in all the things. Because from the perspective of the divine mind, the conscious awareness is, behold, I create. And the choice from the side of divine mind, the mind of the One I Am, is, behold, I create a new heaven and a new earth, moment by moment by moment. That everything passes away. All the former things pass away. They can't stop themselves from passing away. Experience the reality of the one mind again. The truth of the original cause. And the truth of who you really are. Your identity is part of the one mind of the One I Am. Operating in a myriad of forms, in a differentiated number of forms, differentiated in you, in you, in you, but all one mind, all the One I Am. And from this place, it's good to be here. Now and forever. So enjoy your awareness. And be in the joy of that awareness. And as everything starts to calm down again, as all the circumstances and situations start to be unfolded in the field of creativity and choice, in the awareness of the truth of who you really are. And everything has a place to orient again. In all the things that you do. And all the people that you interact with. And they likewise, as long as you hold a sense of orientation of who you are, that sense of orientation will be awoken in them also, without them fully understanding and comprehending it to some extent. That they will wake up, because the operation of the One I Am works through all people, through all circumstances, through all situations, through nature, through the galaxies, through every microscopic detail of the whole thing. There is nothing beyond the reality of the One I Am. And everything has and will reorient, as it is even now in your body and mind and heart. And peace and blessing as you complete the process of awakening in yourself to the truth. And in awakening to the truth,